Coming up on Inside California Education.
It's not just we had a fire. We lost our community. We lost everything that we knew every day.
We'll visit the town of Paradise to see how students, teachers, and families are faring after the Camp Fire forced multiple schools to relocate.
I feel like I was seen more as like a person than as a student.
Discover how a big high school in San Mateo transformed itself into a small learning community, allowing teachers and students to develop closer relationships. Plus, see what a day in the life is like for a braille transcriber in Folsom as she creates materials for students with visual impairments. And join a group of 5th graders as they hike and explore a special piece of land along the San Joaquin River. It's all next on Inside California Education.
Funding for Inside California Education is made possible by... Since 1985, the California Lottery has raised more than $34 billion in supplemental funding for California's 1,100 public school districts from kindergarten through college. That's approximately $211 for each full-time student, based on $1.7 billion contributed in fiscal year 2017-18. With caring teachers, committed administrators, and active parents, every public school student can realize their dreams. The California Lottery. Imagine the possibilities. The STUART Foundation, improving life outcomes for young people through education.
Another morning of getting kids up and fed and ready for school.
Are you almost done?
It's a ritual we've all been through thousands of times. But for the Lunas who lived just outside Paradise, the ritual has changed after a disaster they couldn't possibly have prepared for. Mom, Dad, the kids, and the pets are living about 20 miles away with another family in a Chico home that had space for them all.
Learning to share your home with other adults is pretty difficult. We all have different habits and we cook different ways and different food, and we just have to be careful not to step on each other's toes.
Sharing space and creating new habits became necessary in November of 2018, when the deadliest and most destructive fire in California history killed 86 people and destroyed more than 18,000 homes and other buildings in Butte County. It was called the Camp Fire. This is where the Lunas lived, near Paradise, a town of more than 26,000 people. Very few people live in and around Paradise now. No one who was in the path of the campfire will ever forget the morning of November 8th.
When we could see the smoke and the flames, and we were getting kids onto campus where some of the drivers were saying, you know, they're driving through flames to get to school.
The fire trucks were pulling up, you could hear explosions and get out, get out, get out.
It was taking over the entire horizon. There was no confusion that it was a huge fire and it was coming.
There was ash and debris falling everywhere, and actually, when I was walking to my first period class, I saw someone write on the walls in ash, "This is the end."
The temporary Paradise High School is in a Chico office building once used by Facebook. The temporary intermediate school is in what used to be an Orchard Supply hardware store, also in Chico. The school office is where customer service handled returns. Lunch is served where customers paid at check stands 5 and 6. And the school library, with thousands of donated books, is in the middle of the old store, an aisle over from where paint was sold.
It's actually been fine because we have a lot of space to use. You just have to be a little creative with it. It's been kind of fun, actually. I always just tell everybody you can find the library on aisle 16.
The principal's office is up front, right next to double glass doors. Chris Dunlap spends time every now and then reminding shoppers Orchard Supply isn't here anymore.
You know, I'll step outside and go, yeah, we're at school now. We don't have, I was just coming in for light bulbs. No light bulbs here. So that's been kind of fun.
Finding fun and humor is important for Chris because, as she says, we wouldn't make it otherwise. Think of just how much trauma the people of Paradise have experienced. An estimated 75% of these kids lost their homes and are living in a new community in makeshift housing. About half the staff at these schools are also fire victims. It was important for districts to locate and organize school sites as soon as possible, so at least something in these students' lives seemed normal.
For them to know that, I'm going to see this person and they're going to teach me math. I'm going to see this person and they're going to teach me science. This is predictable when nothing else is. They might be in a trailer for 3 weeks and then they get an apartment. They might, be in a hotel. We still have students in hotels.
Returning to a school setting was the first step. Remembering what they've been through came next.
I'm really big on I need to cover the curriculum. Like I want to get stuff done. And we quickly realized that that's not the priority here. We quickly realized that the priority is checking in with kids and making sure that they're ready to move on. And I took baby steps. That first day back, it wasn't about lecturing on meiosis. It was about how is everybody? We're back together. This is different. Let's talk about how this is different.
Good morning, Bobcats. Today is Wednesday.
Jace is a junior. He hopes to be an actor. He wasn't impressed when he learned the Facebook building was now his high school.
Wow, this is small and cramped.
With nearly 500 students at this site, it is cramped. The warehouse space became classrooms, and the cafeteria became a basketball court and the band room. For Jace, it hasn't been the smoothest transition.
My grades have dropped since the fire. Last semester I had straight A's, and now I have a D in one of my classes. It just feels a lot harder to focus here.
These elementary-age kids were lucky. An older school that wasn't being used was reopened, so their transition was easier. Still, because of their age, and because 85% of the kids from Concal Elementary lost homes, a service dog is now on campus to help work on any possible mental health issues.
Some kids won't see a counselor, but a lot of kids will pet a dog, look in a dog's eyes, give a dog a treat, and in that way, they're able to kind of feel normal or maybe just feel at ease here at school. Just looking in a dog's eyes for a few seconds feels like a hug.
Josh Pete says so many of his kids now live in trailers that on stormy nights, and there have been many, find sleep difficult and learning drops off the next day. That's an issue at schools throughout Butte County, where 150,000 acres burned.
We've had everything from kids reporting that they can't sleep at night, or as soon as they fall asleep, they're having nightmares about what they've experienced. They have trouble concentrating. We are seeing behaviors escalating in certain situations, and students just generally feeling like their lives are out of control.
It's not a surprise that students who are fire victims are struggling months later. It's actually expected, because strong support that arrives early on eventually tapers off.
I think there's that initial, wow, everybody's here to help us, the media's here and all that. Well, everybody's gone, right? And now you're faced with the reality of living either in a temporary home, a mobile home. Some are still living in hotels.
Tim Taylor was superintendent of county schools when the Camp Fire happened. He's now retired, but he's still following school issues closely.
We're seeing behaviors of children about 4 months after the fire that are very serious. It includes the teachers, the parents, and the kids, because you start to lose hope, and that really kicks in. And I think children that, like, for instance, had anxiety prior to the fire, and now it's multiplied by 10.
It's in the mental health field that support can still be offered to people who lost homes and businesses in the Paradise Fire.
The number one need is an ongoing need for mental health supports. So that will not go away for years to come. So people can write a check. But if they themselves are retired professionals and want to volunteer and want to be vetted to be allowed to come and work in the schools, we have a pathway for doing that.
Perhaps no one in Butte County has a better view of all the hurdles than Shawnee. Because after she gets her kids out of the house and off to school, that's where she ends up as well as a substitute teacher. There's not a part of the day she's not reminded of the fire, living in borrowed space at night, or trying during the day to make a difference in the lives of kids who lost their homes too. If there's anything the rest of us can do, she says it's to never forget what happened in Paradise.
It's not just we had a fire. We lost our community. We lost our sports programs. We lost everything that we knew every day. And to not forget about us is the biggest thing. Keep us in your prayers, keep us in your thoughts, keep checking on us, see what we need as a community and as individuals. It's really important. There's a lot of loss here and a lot of people who were not prepared.
People have donated more than $1 million to a long-term recovery fund set up for Butte County schools. Money from the fund will be used to restore programs at schools. That includes mental health services, after-school programs, tutoring, and other activities to create a positive school climate. More information is available from the Butte County Office of Education.
To do from one for each one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Walk around the campus of Hillsdale High School in San Mateo and you'll notice something different. The teachers, principal, and students here truly know each other in a way that's often hard to find in a big public high school.
I went to high school myself back in the 90s, and I remember what it was like where you just kept going from class to class to class. And you would have some connections with some teachers, but there wasn't, at least in my experience, that one location, that sort of go-to, almost counselor that you could talk to if you're having personal problems or friend problems or academic problems.
Hillsdale High used to be one of those traditional schools, but in the mid-2000s, it won a couple of grants to change it into what it is today, a small learning community.
The idea of small learning communities really began to take hold in the 1990s, and many cities across the country, including especially New York City, began to break up the big factory model warehouse high schools that we inherited from the early 1900s into smaller learning communities where teachers and kids would be together in a group of 300 or 400 students and organized by teaching teams so that kids really couldn't get lost, couldn't fall through the cracks, were well known by their teachers, and were really in a much more personalized setting.
Linda Darling-Hammond is the president of the Learning Policy Institute and professor emeritus of Stanford University. She collaborated with Hillsdale High to shake up the traditional big public school concept. How did they do it? With a house system.
Anytime I explain to my friends, I say that the house system's like Harry Potter, where as freshman year, the students are sorted into different houses.
As freshmen, you are divided into one of 4 houses, which are Florence, Kyoto, Marrakesh, and Oaxaca. And I'm in Florence. And so each house has its set of teachers, which you keep for 2 years until you become a junior and senior.
And then as students move into the upper division, they get a new set of teachers and a new advisor for their 11th and 12th grade. And those are Timbuktu, Cusco, and Jakarta House. So they reflect cities from around the world and cultures from around the world that also come to Hillsdale.
I had to present a concept called the Doppler effect to my
Today, students are practicing and presenting their senior capstone projects.
And we consider that when these avenues of voting are becoming more popular nowadays,
these projects are 4 years in the making and required to graduate. It's another unique aspect of student life here at Hillsdale High. And there's something else. Each student is assigned an advisor that will stick with them for 2 years. Even the principal, Jeff Gilbert, is an advisor to a class of about 30 students, giving him a chance to get to know them on a personal level.
I think that schools in general have a lot of relationships that are very broad but not very deep. And for us, it's about making sure that when we know students, we know them in a very, very deep manner.
It makes it feel like I'm getting more attention since the teachers don't have to focus on as many students. You can get closer with your teachers, and they really get to understand your style and the way you work.
So each page, each subject page has its portfolio piece, and then you're going to...
Ninth grader Gwendolyn is in advisory class with teacher Johnny Sow. He's also their math teacher. But the focus of advisory class is not schoolwork, it's more about life lessons.
Coming in as ninth graders, students are generally scared. It's high school, it's big, and everybody's tall. And the advisory helps them feel like they have a home at school. There's some students who, on the first day of school, they were in my classroom every day. At lunch, they were there. At brunch, and there. And I was kind of like, don't you have friends and stuff? But I realized they just needed a place that was like a home base for them to feel comfortable.
Feeling safe and feeling positive about the environment and the people in it actually promotes better learning. If you are anxious, if you feel you don't belong, if you feel stigmatized, if you're afraid, all of those things impede your learning.
I'm excited to show you guys like what I've worked on and what you've helped me with.
I'm confident you're going to do well because...
My advisor, Mr. Silva, he was the first person I saw. He was the first person that I had like a connection with. He was somebody who pushed me, and I knew that he was pushing me because I could do better. Freshman and sophomore year, I really didn't care about school that much, so Mr. Silva was always one person to tell me that I can do it. I can do better than I'm doing.
Mariella says having a supportive teacher helped her come out of her shell. And it shows. She confidently defended her bilingual capstone project on this day, finding out later that she passed.
In a small learning community, teachers can check in with kids, and if they're having a problem, they can immediately figure out how to help that student get recalibrated, get the help that they need.
This approach helped place Hillsdale High on the list of best high schools in the nation in U.S. News and World Report magazine. But it's not just students who thrive in a small learning community. The teachers say they do too.
Every decision, for the most part, is made by the faculty. So any wonderful new system or difficult new system that we take on, we have ownership over because we collectively came to that decision.
Everything from the house system to teacher evaluations to the capstone projects. All were decisions made by the faculty as a whole, but they were done with a singular goal in mind: what's best for the students.
I think the purpose of public education is to create citizens who can be positive, contributing members in a democratic society. We want to develop young people who you would like to move in next to you as your neighbor.
Every child is known. Every child is supported, and the work that they come to school to do is engaging and interesting and important work for them.
Still ahead on Inside California Education.
Is bear clover a bear or a clover?
We'll visit an outdoor education center in San Joaquin County where science standards come to life as kids explore their natural surroundings. But first, let's spend a day in the life of a braille transcriber who uses different tools to support students in Folsom.
I have a Perkins Brailler, which is similar to a typewriter. It's a hard, heavy iron piece of equipment that I refer to as pounding out the braille. We are at Sutter Middle School, and I am a teaching assistant / brailleist. So what I do is modify and braille materials for the visually impaired students we have in our school district. We have an embossing machine, so I will type out something, transfer it into braille, and then push a button and it comes out the embosser. The embossing machine is very cool because it will emboss pictures for the kids. Well, I love that I can do a little bit of artwork. And To me, that's very rewarding. Using different tools, creating different textures. Right now I'm just pressing the hair. I always outline the face. Really what this does is when they feel the texture of the picture, it allows them to more clearly understand what the picture is. It allows them to do pretty much the same thing that the other kids in the class are doing. And so they are included. Put your finger right here. Do you feel that hoop? Yeah. I started out as an aide and I was working at Natoma Station, and we got this little guy in named Delshawn Davis who was visually impaired. So I ordered a manual online and I just took home an old Perkins Brailer that we had and a bunch of paper. I pounded out on that thing until I went through the book and taught myself. Eventually we just realized, as a school district, that we just need a full-time person doing this. So I applied for the job and I got it. Okay, so here's one book. Right here. I think that I'm really helping these kids. I'm hoping that my materials that I provide for them will give them some happiness and just some joy.
Are the girls happy or are they mad? Happy. They're happy.
Braille dates all the way back to the early 1800s. That's when a military veteran invented a way for soldiers to read safely in the dark through a system of raised dots. The system was later improved upon by a young Frenchman named Louis Braille. He was blinded in an accident as a young boy, and as a teenager he refined the system of raised dots that came to be known by his name, Braille.
If you come across animal droppings today, we want you to tell us. We want you to be like, I think I found some scat.
That is, oh yeah, you're right, pill bug.
Look at his feet, look how he's using them. Come closer. You see him?
Those are on our irrigation.
I know.
What do animal droppings, pollinators, and tadpoles have in common? You can find them all at the Durham Ferry Outdoor Education Center in Manteca, just outside of Stockton. It's 200 acres of riparian ecosystem owned by the San Joaquin County Office of Education and used to teach environmental literacy.
So we have our Meander program. It's a field trip program that is designed for students in grades 3 through 5. We've created curriculum that is based off the next generation science standards and purposefully includes the environmental principles and concepts. The idea is when you see these things today, open up this journal, right, and take a look at it and circle what you find and try to start identifying some of the things that you're seeing out here, okay?
On this day, more than 50 students from nearby Ripon Christian Elementary School are spending the day, journals in hand, learning about the environment. They're studying water and the atmosphere in their 5th grade science class.
What we're hoping for, basically, when we come here, is that they can see it kind of in action.
5th grade teacher Rachel Mao says while these concepts can be tough to teach from a book, when the students get outside, the learning comes naturally.
When you tell it in the classroom, they don't really quite grasp it. When they can see it and when they can feel it and when they can just kind of discover themselves and ask those questions out here, it's incredible.
And then once you have it on, go like this, and you can see it through.
We were learning about the water cycle and how that affects us and how to preserve our water.
Out here, you can interact with things and touch them and see how they work. And it's cool because we're outside instead of in the classroom.
These 5th graders aren't the only ones learning. The elementary school field trips also include students from Durham Ferry's high school program, giving the older kids a way to practice their scientific skills and build leadership.
My role here is to take the kids around, show them the ecosystem, the nature, all the species that come out, nests, the trees.
This land, situated on a bend in the San Joaquin River, has miles of hiking trails, a pond, and a meadow. It all provides students unique access to hundreds of species of birds, bugs, mammals, and native plants. The goal is to tap into their natural sense of adventure, to teach science concepts in a way that educators say kids don't always get anymore.
In today's society, I think students are often inside their homes too much. In order for them to kind of understand how humans impact the environment and really internalize that, they have to come outside and kind of see the environment, see nature, and kind of look at those boundaries between human civilization and nature.
But guess what? Blackberry and rose, they're related.
Because that's why it's so hard to tell them apart.
Teachers say the Durham Ferry Outdoor Education Center and programs like it are crucial for building young environmental stewards and future scientists, for helping classroom concepts come to life, and for allowing kids to move, play, and learn among nature. And kids say this makes learning fun.
We caught a jumping spider, and I saw that thing through like a magnifying glass, and it was super cool.
If you'd like more information about the program, log on to our website, INSİDECalEd.org. We have video from all of our shows, and you can connect with us on social media. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time on Inside California Education.
Good morning, Bobcats. Have a great day, Bobcats, and rise up.
I was very nervous and I twirled my hair during the presentation because I thought the students in the back of the room were judging me.
The girls joke. The girls have fun.
Is pink your favorite color? I like pink too.
I drew a blackberry. Don't copy mine, make it your own.
Circle what you find and try to start identifying some of the things that you're seeing out here.
Funding for Inside California Education is made possible by... Since 1985, the California Lottery has raised more than $34 billion in supplemental funding for California's 1,100 public school districts from kindergarten through college. That's approximately $211 for each full-time student, based on $1.7 billion contributed in fiscal year 2017-18. With caring teachers, committed administrators, and active parents, every public school student can realize their dreams. The California Lottery. Imagine the possibilities. The STUART Foundation, improving life outcomes for young people through education. Additional funding for Inside California Education is made possible by these organizations supporting public education.